In my family, the youngest always paid for everyone else's sins. That tradition meant I spent ages 5 to 10 taking beatings for my 3 older siblings. My father, a decorated Vietnam vet, believed in discipline and family unity. He would polish his service medals every Sunday, telling us that one person's pain bonded the whole. Mom backed him completely. She'd grown up in the same kind of system, except her older sister bore the brunt. They thought it made us closer. It didn't. Marcus, Diana, and Gabriel were good kids once, but when you know someone else pays the price, morals fade. Marcus skipped school, shoplifted, and blamed me with silence. Diana stole jewelry, forged notes, and still got her concert nights. Gabriel failed tests with doodles and smirks. Every Sunday night was accountability hour. Our living room became a punishment arena, furniture shoved to the walls, me standing center stage in thin clothes, barefoot, ready to be whipped by Dad's belt. Each infraction from my siblings was 1 or more strikes, counted aloud by Mom to ensure precision. Red marks, split lips, welts, all methodical, all earned by others. By 7, I flinched at everything. Teachers noticed, but said nothing. Dad was a respected cop, a local hero. I kept a hidden calendar. Red marks for Marcus, purple for Diana, green for Gabriel. My body was a scarred map of their failures. The final straw was my 10th birthday. Gabriel tagged the principal's car with profanity on camera, yet his dad cracked his belt. Gabriel laughed from the couch, proud to have dodged consequence. None of them would meet my eyes, not one. I wasn't their sister anymore. I was their shield. That night, I ran barefoot into the freezing dark, straight to Mrs. Lee, my teacher. She took me in without hesitation, fed me hot chocolate while I sobbed, then documented every bruise with clinical care. She knew CPS wouldn't act without proof, not against a cop, so she gave me a hidden recorder, and I became a spy in my own home. 3 weeks later, I had everything. Dad justifying abuse with military discipline, Mom counting the strikes like a lullaby, siblings plotting who'd mess up next, even Gabriel asking if I'd cry this time. We handed it to CPS, but Dad was prepared. He showed Catherine the CPS workers' staged documents from a recent psych eval he arranged, claimed I was attention-seeking, mentally unstable. Mom co-signed every word. Catherine asked to talk to me alone. Dad refused, said it was for her safety, fingers resting on his holstered weapon. Every lie was rehearsed, every gesture calculated. Then Marcus walked in with college papers. He looked at me almost guilty before Dad asked him to testify. He chose college. He lied for Dad. I stayed silent, terrified. I could have pulled my shirt up, showed the fresh bruises, but I knew the cost. The system wasn't built to believe someone like me, not against someone like him. School became another frontline. Mrs. Rodriguez, my counselor, distanced herself after Dad promised her husband a glowing reference. Teachers who used to help started documenting my disruptions. My declining grades became proof I was troubled. Diana posted carefully edited videos on her Fina of me crying, flinching, and acting out. My texts were stripped of context. I became the unstable sibling, not the abused one. Even Mrs. Lee came under fire. An anonymous complaint accused her of overstepping with me. She got flagged by administration, questioned about boundaries. She couldn't contact me freely anymore. Dad's influence ran deep. He got me scheduled for therapy with his poker buddy, Dr. Hartman. The guy asked about emotions, not truth. I talked about beatings. He prescribed anxiety meds. I hacked Mom's password, found searches for troubled teen camps, wilderness therapy programs. She was looking to get rid of me. I used her card to buy a book on surviving abuse, had it shipped to school. Diana's Fina had photos and videos mocking me, calling me hormonal and dramatic. They laughed at my pain. I tried recording dinner threats with Mrs. Lee's old phone. A beep gave me away. Dad introduced new rules. Phones turned in before dinner. Later, he changed emergency contacts at school. Only he could pick me up now. Mrs. Lee was erased from my forms, but I got the original recorder back, hidden in a shoebox beneath old drawings. Played it. It held weeks of horrifying clarity. Dad practicing his fake breakdown for CPS. Mom offering pointers. Gabriel laughing about punishments, evidence of conspiracy. Dad also spoke to himself late at night, to his father, maybe rambling about breaking weak links, building strong chains, confessing he hated what had become. It didn't excuse him, but it showed cracks. Even Mom had her secret index cards in a recipe box above the fridge. One night, she pulled it down, read them, cried silently when Grandma visited. She saw the bruises, nearly said something, but she backed off. Dad wouldn't let her visit again if she helped. Gabriel became my tool. I forgave him without cause, earning small favors, borrowed his phone, found more evidence, videos of beatings, photos of bruises, proof had been documenting too, for guilt maybe, or curiosity. Marcus gave me his college essay titled Watching Injustice. He changed names, but it was about me, about our home. He wrote of guilt, moral injury, choosing integrity over comfort. His apology came through beautiful prose. Aunt Catherine, my mom's estranged sister, reached out. Out of nowhere, Shed heard the rumors and offered to take me in, but Dad moved fast, filed paperwork accusing her of manipulating me, dug up court records from her divorce, cited her past depression. The court marked my missed therapy session as non-compliant because I'd been busy meeting lawyers. Every path forward came with penalties. Mrs. Lee's legal bills skyrocketed. She hired the best lawyer she could afford, but Dad had the police union's legal fund his side, came armed with experts. Polished presentations. Her lawyer showed up with binders and passion. Passion doesn't win courtrooms. Dad's cousin replaced Mrs. Lee temporarily as a substitute teacher, just another spy in disguise. Mrs. Lee couldn't talk to me directly, but I started sleeping in her laundry room. She didn't invite me, but she also didn't lock the back door. At home, Dad redecorated my room, yellow paint, new furniture, posters about healing. He posted it all online, showing the world how hard he was trying to help his troubled daughter. Meanwhile, Diana's mental health unraveled. I caught a glimpse of scars on her arms. One night, she blamed me for everything, said if I just kept quiet, our family wouldn't be falling apart. Even Mrs. Okathine, the teacher next door, paid the price. Shed suspected abuse, but hadn't reported it. The school suspended her for failing mandatory reporting laws. Her marriage fell apart under the stress. I kept recording. I told myself breaking the cycle meant some people would suffer, but watching her daughter cry while her mom packed boxes felt too familiar. Gabriel cornered me one day, confused. Asked if I remembered things worse than they were, if trauma had skewed my perception. It shook me, but I remembered the calendar under my mattress, each beating, each sibling's color, the scars lined up. The recordings didn't lie. A local journalist dropped an article that changed everything. It praised Dad's police work, but raised concerns about our household. The town split. Some defended him as a hero, others started asking questions. Dad responded immediately. Media interviews, damage control. He and Mom sat together on screen, shedding strategic tears. They blamed the pressures of law enforcement. Parenting school became unbearable. Students whispered traitor. Others slipped me notes about their own families. Gabriel's team wore shirts saying Blue Lives Matter to practice. Even he wore one. Dad had been volunteering for dangerous assignments after beatings, high-speed chases, violent arrests. His partner said it looked like he was punishing himself. The irony stung. Dad's late-night monologues to his father revealed more guilt than I expected. He admitted to turning into the man he hated, talked about discipline, about breaking the weak to save the family. He was haunted, but that didn't change the fact he haunted us. I finally played one of the recordings during a family meeting. Dad's voice filled the room, rehearsing his CPS story. Mom's prompts, Gabriel's mocking, Diana covering her ears. Marcus walked out. The room fell apart. That night, Dad parked outside Mrs. Lee's house for hours. She called the police on him. Cops responded to a complaint about one of their own. They convinced him to leave, but the fear lingered. CPS returned with a new worker for an emergency evaluation. Shed already read Dad's files, already seen the concerning behavior reports. She looked at me like I was the problem. I showed her bruises, played recordings, explained everything, but she asked why I waited, why I'd recorded secretly, why I was destroying my father's reputation. Then Marcus finally broke. During his interview, he told the truth. Described the system, the guilt, showed his phone secret videos of Gabriel crying, of Mom counting strikes, me hiding bruises before school. It was undeniable. Diana exploded, said Marcus betrayed the family, showed her scars, said they were my fault. The social worker documented it all. Our story became a case study in systemic failure. The police launched an internal investigation. Officers who once praised Dad distanced themselves. His partner admitted he suspected things, but chose silence. The union kept paying for lawyers, but their support faded. I bounced between Mrs. Lee's home and foster placements. The court system churned forward. Every piece of evidence was dissected, every witness cross-examined. Our family's dirty truth spilled into public record. Dad's legal team drained every resource. We had jewelry, sold college funds, gone, everyone working jobs to cover costs. The abuse that once found us now financially ruined us. Mrs. Lee never wavered. She documented everything, showed up to every hearing. Her savings gone. She borrowed against retirement, took tutoring jobs. Other teachers helped fundraise for her legal battle she was fighting for me when no one else would. The preliminary hearing brought our town to a courtroom. Police union members on one side, teachers on the other. I testified for hours. Dad admitted to physical discipline, but claimed it was lawful, said it was tradition, family honor, but When prosecutors played recordings of him planning lies with Mom, the facade cracked. The judge's ruling was mixed. Dad got criminal charges, but less than we hoped. 2 years probation, mandatory counseling. He lost custody, but not his parental rights. The department suspended him. He wasn't fired, just demoted to desk duty. The badge survived his legacy didn't. Diana moved in with a cousin. Therapy helped, but her pain had already carved deep. She sent a letter months later, not quite an apology, but a truce. Gabriel stayed with Mom and Dad, too young to choose social services, watched closely. His basketball talent flourished, but something was missing behind his eyes. Marcus got his own place, worked 3 jobs to pay for it. We saw each other occasionally. We never discussed the past, his silence back then, or my pain now, but he showed up. That counted for something. Mrs. Lee started the adoption process, legal guardianship first, court hearings, background checks, fees, endless paperwork. She took it all on despite financial strain. The community rallied behind her. Former students, skeptical parents, now believers. She fought for me until it became official. I became her daughter, not legally at first, but where it mattered. I started trauma therapy. Real therapy. Slowly the constant flinch faded, sleep returned, trust followed, not all at once, but piece by piece. Some days felt impossible, others gave me glimpses of who I might be without fear defining every step. 6 months after court, I spoke at a survivor support group. Small audience, shaky voice. I shared my story, not for applause, but for recognition, about how abuse hides in traditions, how silence protects abusers, how courage comes slowly. The words burned coming out, but healed on their way in. Dad wrote me letters. I didn't open them. Mom sent messages through relatives. I deleted them. Gabriel mailed a card for my birthday, no return address. Diana posted vague captions about healing on social media. None mentioned why she needed it. Marcus dedicated his essay awards to unnamed survivors. I knew who he meant. Mrs. Lee adopted me officially on a Thursday. No cameras, no drama, just papers and witnesses. We got pizza afterward, the same place where Dad once grabbed my wrist. This time the manager gave us extra breadsticks. The town moved on. Dad went back to limited duty, reputation scarred, not destroyed, just diminished. Mom worked at a clinic, slowly recovering. The house got sold, new family moved in. I wonder if they ever notice how quiet the walls feel. I spoke at 3 more events over the next year, rooms full of quiet survivors. Each time my voice steadied. Mrs. Lee sat in the back row, her presence a constant anchor. My 18th birthday came without celebration, just dinner with Mrs. Lee. College applications, a quiet night. I marked first-generation student on every form. Independent. Those checkboxes meant more than they should. Marcus texted me 3 words, "You were right." That was all, but it was enough. Diana said nothing. Gabriel kept playing ball, caught between love and loyalty. Mrs. Lee helped me pack for college, folded clothes, class schedules, meal plans, normal conversations that felt revolutionary. I found the old calendar while packing, the one where I marked beatings with red, purple, and green. The first thought about burning it. Instead, I boxed it with the court records, a reminder, not an anchor. The road to campus, past every landmark of my trauma, the courthouse, the station, the pizza place, all behind me, but not forgotten. Mrs. Lee drove, squeezed my hand when the memories pressed too hard. At the dorm, I unpacked in a room untouched by fear. My roommate knew nothing of accountability hour. I didn't need to explain. Mrs. Lee hugged me goodbye in the parking lot. We cried shamelessly. She'd saved me, not just from Dad, but from a future shaped by him. That night I lay in bed and didn't flinch at the creak of floorboards. My roommate snored, and I let it lull me to sleep. Somewhere Dad might have been polishing his faded metals, Mom maybe counting pills instead of strikes, my siblings navigating their own wreckage. But I was here, alive, 18, free. The next morning I watched the sunrise from the dorm window, the sky cracked open with light I hadn't known I was waiting for. Mrs. Lee texted me a heart emoji. I replied with a photo of that sunrise. It wasn't over, but the worst part was college life wasn't perfect. I didn't instantly heal, but everything was different. My life wasn't managed by fear anymore. My time was my own. I signed my own forms, chose my own classes, ate what I wanted without performing gratitude. Small freedoms that felt like luxury. I started studying psychology. Something about understanding trauma from the inside out appealed to me. I volunteered with a student-run support group for abuse survivors, not to retell my story every time, but to listen, to be what Mrs. Lee had been for me. My dorm room became my sanctuary. I decorated the walls with photos of sunsets, quotes about growth, and small sketches I'd once hidden beneath my bed. I even brought the calendar sealed in a manila envelope. I kept it not to dwell on pain, but to remind myself how far I'd come. One night I found a handwritten letter from Marcus tucked inside my mailbox. He didn't write often, but when he did, it landed Heavy. This one talked about justice, not the kind courts deal out, but the kind we choose to live. He talked about the damage we all took on, about forgiveness, not always needing a name. It didn't ask for anything, it just existed like a final breath. He'd been holding Diana, reached out weeks later, a DM short and fragile. "I'm sorry you were alone in it, that was it. But those words, they mattered." I replied, "We were all drowning. I just stopped holding my breath first." Gabriel sent me a clip of his team's championship game. He was the MVP. He included no message, just the video. I watched it, unsure what it meant. Maybe it was an apology or a show of pride or both. Mrs. Lee visited campus once. We walked through the quad past students who didn't know our story. I introduced her as my mom. She smiled, didn't correct me. One morning, I opened my email to find I'd received a scholarship, one for survivors of domestic trauma. My essay had been about cycles, what breaks them, what sustains them. I'd ended it with a quote from Mrs. Lee: "You don't owe your pain to anyone, but if you can turn it into something no one can ignore." That same day, I received a letter from the family court, official word that my biological parents' rights had been permanently terminated. Legal closure, emotional closure, had come long before I deleted Dad's unopened messages, marked them unread again, as if even my indifference was ceremonial. His shadow had faded from my daily life. Now it only appeared in the background like a ghost who no longer knew the address. Years later, I stood in a high school auditorium, invited as a speaker for a youth advocacy summit. The stage lights were warm. My voice no longer shook. I looked out at students, teachers, mentors, told them truth is loud even when whispered, that surviving isn't weakness, it's endurance. With teeth afterward, a girl with long sleeves and tired eyes approached me. She didn't speak, just hugged me. That was the reward, not justice, not revenge, not vindication, survival, growth, peace. Mrs. Lee was in the front row, tears on her face, pride in her eyes. The woman who'd wrapped me in a lavender-scented blanket that cold February night was still here. We went for pizza afterward, the same place, same table, different story. The town had long moved on, but I hadn't forgotten. I'd carried the truth out of that house and into the world. I didn't just survive my family, I became the end of their tradition. The cycle broke with me.